Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys is another Harry Potter review. Today we're tackling Harry Potter Year 2, Harry Potter 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, of course, this one is also on DVD. In fact, they're all on DVD except for Deathly Hallows Part 2, the final one. It's pretty cool, DVD, I guess. You got a little sparring match between Draco and Harry. Kind of cool stuff. But this movie, I really didn't remember it for being this, but it really has everything you want in a movie. It's got humor, and it's got action, it's got drama, it's got intense, it's got funny moments, it's got a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's basically got everything you want in a Harry Potter movie, or in just a movie in general, right? But in terms of everything that happens in this film, there's a lot of things that it also could be. It's an action movie, yes. It's an adventure movie, yes. It's a comedy to a degree. It's not really supposed to be a comedy, but there's funny moments in it, like I said. But it's also kind of a horror movie. I never really thought of it like a horror film, but it's got like a butt ton of spiders. And look, I'm a dude, all right. I'm a man. Every man's duty is to kill a house spider. I do that. But when there's a billion of them and then giant Aragog, sorry, I'm out. But then you also have, the Basilisk, which is also kind of portrayed as this guy, giant serpent-esque killer monster thing. And it's very, it's pretty, look, for a PG, I don't know how this movie's rated PG, alright? For a PG-rated movie, from like, what, 2002, something like that? When Harry, the blood when he stabs the diary, freaking stabbing the Basilisk through the neck, out through the head with a sword, blood, it's a pretty, I don't want to say gory, but it's very mature. It really should have been PG-13, I think. But, it really has the most badass and most probably metal, ending of all time. Like, Harry just up and stabs a thing through the neck, rips out its tooth, stabs a diary, Tom Riddle blows up, There's a lot of awesome moments like that, but there's also a lot of, heartfelt moments as well with Hermione, all people getting, petrified, Hagrid leaving, Dumbledore getting framed, and on top of all this, Chamber of Secrets is most importantly a mystery movie, right? The name is literally Chamber of Secrets. You're going to have a few secrets in your movie, and, the fact that it kind of plays out almost like a Knives Out, Glass Onion, that's not out yet, but, a Ryan Johnson whodunit type thing, or like an episode of Scooby-Doo or something like that. It really is like, wow, okay, who did that, and why is Hermione this, and how are people freezing, and what's wrong with Aragog, and, all this stuff kind of, who's the diary, who's Tom Marvolo Riddle, and then, obviously I knew all this shite going in, because I've seen this movie a billion times, but, actually looking at it through a critical standpoint again, opened my eyes. I was like, wow, this is pretty effing cool, it really is like a mystery type of film, and when everything clicks, it all clicks, and it kind of, falls together in a really awesome and satisfying way. Of course, the CGI, that was my biggest issue with Sorcerer's Stone, the first film. And, one of my subscribers, I think Cody something, I'm blanking, it's like 12 o'clock at night when I'm making this, but Cody basically told me, he said, look, hey, one of the reasons why Chris Columbus, the director, kind of, he kind of took a lot of criticism to the CGI in the first film, right? The troll, the Quidditch arena, the freaking, CGI Harry and Neville, it's literally just like a PlayStation 1. It's probably like a freaking PS0 because it looks like ass, but, you get, it was like, oh, wow, this isn't too great, it's my one main negative of the first movie. And this movie with CGI in question, it's really not that bad. In fact, it doesn't really hold, I wouldn't say it holds up to, a degree in 2022, but nothing of the CGI in this movie made me go, wow, that's effing bad, none of it. Maybe one shot where, Fawkes is kind of, Fawkes is kind of clean, holding them off Gilderoy, Ron Harry, he's like, it's like magic, that scene, it looks kind of like a green screen, that's kind of the worst thing. There's also one moment where Hagrid's like, things been tampered with it, us, you can see like a little bit of like a, green screen artifacting, but it's not bad. It's really, nitpicking. But, in terms of overall CGI, it is a big step up from the first movie. And that's because Chris Columbus apparently, is what Cody said, shout out to you. Could be wrong, could be right. I didn't fact check it, but I made sense. Is that, Chris Columbus, was like, okay, let's film the Quidditch and the more heavy CGI stuff first, so that it gives the CGI guys a lot more time to, actually get it right. And it does look good, it really does. Quidditch looks a lot better, the motion blur looks better, the CGI people look better. The basilisk when it's not a practical effect, because a majority of the basilisk is actually practical, right? When they get like the head moving in where Harry stabs it, that kind of thing. That's a real animatronic, scary as all hell. And then you also get Aragog, which for the majority was also practical. You can tell when something's practical, something's CGI, right? The basilisk, for example, had a lot of like shiny sheen, kind of like I guess reflective, like almost like wet all the time. And then you look at the practical, it's more dirty, it's more clear, so you can tell. But it's not bad for sure. Nothing stood out as horrible in this film CGI wise, and that's pretty cool. I think Prisoner of Azkaban movie 3, which will be next review, is definitely where it looks basically like 3 through 8, 7, part 2, whatever. It's when it really gets, oh, okay, this is like really effing good now, But 1 and 2 were kind of the more, I guess, in terms of CGI, the more experimental, I would say. But I mean, look. The writing is still top tier for Harry Potter. The acting is freaking phenomenal, man. I think, like I said, Harry, Ron, Hermione in the first movie was great for like 11, 10 years old. In this movie, they're even better. And I know Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, in interviews, he's like, oh, I don't like my, whatever. I don't like how I am in the movie 1 and 2, whatever. But I think he's really freaking good. There's a lot of really good moments in this film from the acting, right? Just Hermione like crying in the end. Just little things, little subtle things that, most child actors wouldn't freaking do. I know they're told to do this stuff probably, but, it is pretty crazy that they can even pull it off. It's really quite insane, the level of acting that, literally kids can do, basically pre-teens in this point can do it. It's, again, I think one of the best parts about looking back at the Harry Potter movies regarding just their age is, seeing them grow from, not to be creepy, but seeing them from little kids to basically adults. It's pretty effing cool, none of them got replaced. None of them died. Nothing bad happened. They went through it all. And from movie 1 to movie 8, 7, part 2, whatever, they were good consistently. And to say that with a bunch of kids to adults, again, it's basically it's basically magic. You know what I mean? Because it's like, wow, one of them could have been horrible. Imagine Ron was a horrible actor, or Hermione couldn't get her lines right. It was just just a really crappy experience. But I'm glad they are good actors. Again, I would say the biggest strong suit of this film though is that it's entertaining, and it basically plays out like a thriller mystery. In the Harry Potter universe. Not only do we get more clues about who Tom Marvolo Riddle is and all that, and again Aragog and all these new lore elements, but it also is really cool to see again them kind of dealing with this heavy mature shit. Like, oh, there's a basically a big ass snake in the piping in this school, this college looking school, and they don't just, it's not all doom and gloom. They kind of, the way they edit this movie is really good. The shots are great too, but in terms of the actual editing of the scenes and the pacing, I think is really good as well. Because, I don't talk about pacing a lot with reviews, but the pacing in this movie is effing great. Because it starts off with, Hermione and Harry, Ron, Hermione talking with McGonagall, right? And they're in class, and they're like, oh, hey, can I ask you about the chamber? And it's kind of like, oh, yeah, by the way, if this thing comes out, we're going to close, and it's going to be horrible. And then the next scene is Quidditch. You know what I mean? And yeah, you could argue it's a bit of a change, but I think that's actually a good freaking thing, because you can actually see the fact that they are thinking about it, and it is serious and it is bad, but they still have a school year to get through, and I think it's really cool to kind of actually see that happening. It's not to an extent as the first movie where you see them a lot in class, but toward the later end of these movies, it's more action based, it's more drama based. They're not in the Half-Blood Prince, or I guess, 7 part 1 and 2. They're not like, we gotta take classes before we fight Voldemort. It's like, we're fighting. Like, shit's hit the fan, we're going. Wands up, let's do this. This movie is a lot more simple in terms of, we're gonna learn this effing spell, we're gonna go to this class, and then we're gonna deal with this basilisk stuff, and the petrified stuff. So it's really cool that they can balance that. The action is good. Again, the writing is good, the acting is good, everything is good about this movie. Again, my only real negative would be, I think there's 1 or 2 moments where it's, I don't want to say cringy, but, just the way that they edit 1 or 2 shots is kind of weird, just how, Gilderoy making funny faces or whatever, but, for the most part, a lot of the humor does land. I think Gilderoy Lockhart, though, I think Kenneth Branagh, whatever, I believe he directed Thor 1, he's effing great. Like, he's really funny, you know what I mean? All of the humor, in my opinion, actually did land. I wasn't, like, dying of laughter on the floor like an idiot, like Lego Batman, but I definitely was, chuckling or going, or, exhaling through my nose, all that stuff, but it really is that, it's, I don't know, it's a style of comedy that I liked. You know, I think Gilderoy is pretty funny because, you know, all the girls are like, oh my god, he's so cool, and all the dudes are like, yeah, this guy's full of shit, and then it turns out he is full of trash. You know what I mean? He's got this cool hair, you know, he thinks he's all that, he's badass, he's cool, but he's basically like Malfoy. You know, he's essentially just a big freaking wussy, and I think that's kind of a funny aspect to bring this guy along who thinks he's all that. He's really not nothing. And I also just noticed, maybe I'm an idiot, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. I just noticed this for the first time, is that they mention, oh, Slytherin, and they mention Gryffindor, you know, oh, maybe Harry's the heir of Slytherin, and he can speak Parseltongue, and, you know, all this. It's kind of like, it's like a holy name versus Paddle, or something, you know, something stupid and trivial like, you know, oh, Paddle-blah, or Holy Shame, you know, stuff like that. It's the same exact thing with, you know, Slytherin and Gryffindor. It's like, oh man, you're from Slytherin, you're gonna be a bad person. Gryffindor, oh, you're a try-hard superhero, Clark Kent kind of guy, you know? And to see that at the end, it's literally the heir of Slytherin Voldemort with the frickin' snake, the mascot, versus Harry, the most, you know, embodiment of Gryffindor, with the sword of Godric Gryffindor. I knew he had the sword, but I never really thought about it other than, oh, it's a cool action scene. It's literally a battle between the two, you know, classes, so to speak, of the school, and it's really cool to see that actually happening. And, you know, they also give kind of like a thing where, you know, Dumbledore's like, is there anything you want to add, Harry? He's like, no, sir, nothing. And he says, okay, you know, go away, or whatever. You know, Tom Marvolo Riddle says the exact same thing, shot for shot, line for line. And it's really good filmmaking technique of showing the audience, again, ahead of time, like in hindsight, that these guys are actually kind of, I don't want to say related or brothers, but, you know, they're intertwined, so to speak. It's like the dyad, except they don't love each other, of course. That'd be weird. It's just, you know, it's like Ray and Ben in a sense that they're connected, in a sense that Voldemort tried to effing kill the guy, and it didn't work. So I think that's really cool that they're kind of already planting the seeds of all this, you know, Harry, Voldemort, you know, stuff, you know. Because when we get to Order of the Phoenix, Harry's like, oh, am I going to turn out evil like Voldemort? You know, and it's kind of cool that we're already sort of getting that in this film. So overall, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is a really fun movie. Again, it's got some horror elements. It's got some really funny moments, great action scenes, great plot, great mystery element, and really cool, you know, I guess, world building in there as well. I'm going to give Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets an A+. I really was shocked that, you know, every time I rewatch it, I really enjoy it, but it's just got a great atmosphere about it. It's very, very well done, and I really couldn't think of any negatives, aside from, like I said, there's one or two shots where the CGI is a bit weird. There's one or two shots where it's not, the humor didn't land, but none of those negatives actually portray to me, you know, bringing it down a peg to an A, because it wasn't that extreme. It's like when you're watching a fight scene and, you know, Batman's beating the shit out of some guy on a rooftop and you see some guy in the way background falling, even though Batman's not even near him. It's like that, you know, it's like a fight scene choreography mistake. You really only notice it if you actually look for it, and I just happen to see it, you know what I mean? It's not actively in your face. You know, maybe there's one scene where young Hagrid is 80-yard and he's just, what? And his mouth doesn't say what. You know, it's little things like that. Nothing too crazy, nothing too insane. You know, no movie is technically perfect, even though I give a lot of movies A+. None of these films were at all near the level of, oh man, I gotta dock that down because that was bad. You know, it's all little nitpicks here or there. So again, A+, I love this film. It's probably one of my favorites, actually. It's a long-ass movie, though, but it was a very good movie. Apparently, a lot of people don't like it. I don't know why. But, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. So tell me in the comments down below as I choke to death what you think about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And before you go, I actually have a spell. So I got my trusty wand here. I believe this is Severus Snape. We're going to try a spell here, so hear me out. All right. I just learned it. Ready? Ready? Okay. Subscribe-o to Franchise Fanatic.